Hey, Shines here, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk about two absolute heavy hitters in the synthesizer world and two great starting points for getting into analog sound design. We're of course talking about the Moog Mother-32 and the Korg Minilogue, specifically the Korg Minilogue XD desktop module version. Now, the reason I'm choosing these two synths was that during my research for my first true analog synthesizer, these two kept popping up as the most popular options. Now, they're very different instruments as we're about to see, but what they do share in common is they both have true analog signal paths. And I feel like it's worth it to talk about them, especially if you're on the fence about buying one or the other. Before I get started, if you're new to the channel, welcome. And if you've come back for another synthesizer video and you haven't subscribed yet, you know what you need to do. Let's start with a quick overview. Mother-32 has one voltage-controlled oscillator, and it can be switched between square wave and saw wave. It's got a 32-step sequencer that has a randomized mode, meaning you can play the notes all out of order. It also has a 32-point patch bay. In fact, this is one of the main purposes of this synth, to get you started in the world of Eurorack module. And this is the Korg Minilogue XD module. It has 3 polyphonic oscillators that can play up to 4 notes at once. It's got 2 analog oscillators that can switch between square, saw, and triangle waves. And it has 1 digital oscillator, or multi-engine as they call it, and it can act as a noise circuit, but it can also be a whole multitude of other digital oscillators. And you yourself can download and install new ones whenever you want. Minilogue XD has a 16-step polyphonic sequencer, meaning each step can contain up to 4 notes. And it has something called motion sequencing, which lets you record in your parameter changes and then it plays them back as part of your sequence. It has a built-in effects section, including spacey reverbs, stereo delays, and modulation. And probably one of the main features of this synth is its oscilloscope, which is really fun to play around with, and it helps you see your patch changes in real time. Speaking of patches, you can save presets onto this synth, which is virtually unheard of in the analog synthesizer world, so very powerful instrument here. Right off the bat here, the biggest difference between these two synthesizers is, of course, that the Minilogue XD is polyphonic, meaning you can play up to 4 notes at a time, whereas the Mother-32 is a monophonic, or 1 note at a time, synthesizer. So yeah, if you're wanting to play pads or play the synthesizer like a piano, then this seems like the obvious option. So this video is actually starting to feel pretty skewed toward the Minilogue XD, but here's the thing. To me, the most important thing about a synthesizer is its voice. And as it turns out, not all analog sound circuits are made equal. Let's give it a listen, and in fact, let's visualize it, because I think that's what synth YouTubers are supposed to do. So here we have Mother-32, and I'm just going to play a straight C using the sawtooth wave. We're going to raise the cutoff frequency here. Nice. And now we have Korg Minilogue XD and its sawtooth wave. Again, let's raise the cutoff. Okay. Did you notice a difference in the sound? To me, the Minilogue just sounds thin. Let's take a look at the next most important thing, design. Both synths are going to take up a fair amount of space on your desk. But as you can see, one of them is way bigger. It's really heavy as well, and honestly, it's a little awkward. I think this is supposed to be the only synthesizer on your desk, and quite frankly, it leaves no room for anything else on your desk. Now, both panels are laid out very nicely from left to right, starting with sound generators and ending with the amp section. On Korg, then we have the effects, and on Moog, then we have the patch bay. And this is where they start becoming very different ideas. As I mentioned before, both of these synthesizers have built-in sequencers. Minilogue has its 16 polyphonic steps, while Mother-32 has its 32 monophonic steps. On Minilogue, when you store a sequence, it gets stored within the patch that you're using to make the sequence. Meaning, you can't change sequences without changing sounds. It just seems a little counterintuitive to me that they would design it in that way when DAW-less, self-contained sequencing synthesizers are kind of the norm these days. Now, on the flip side, Mother-32 doesn't have any preset or patch storing ability, but it does store your sequences. And since it doesn't store your patches anywhere, you can switch from one sequence to another and almost chain them together. It also allows for randomized playback in reverse, ping-pong style playback. There are a lot of different ways that you can play back your sequences on Mother-32. Minilogue does let you do things like skipping notes within a sequence, but most of the sequence-related options are in the menu, which to me is not really accessible when playing this instrument live. Now, the fact that Minilogue XD has a built-in USB port tells me that using this with an external sequencer, like something from Ableton or Logic, is really what it's designed to do. But that's not exactly DAW-less anymore, is it? Speaking of DAW-less, Mother-32 has a ton more options when it comes to connecting it to other devices. It's got 32 patch points, which allow you to rewire the synth any which way you want. You can connect other synths to these points to do even more crazy stuff. There are so many things that you can do with the patch bay that I made an entire video on it that I hope you check out after this one. I'll leave the link in the description below. On Minilogue XD, you don't have a patch bay. What you do have are 2 CV points on the back panel of the synth, which can be assigned using the menu system. I'm not a huge fan of this, as I find menu diving to be clunky and unintuitive, but at least there are some ways to hook this synth up to other instruments. It really is the effects section that makes this synthesizer truly shine. There's 3 simultaneous effects that can be added to your sound. There's reverb, delay, and modulation effects. And these all play in stereo, which makes a huge difference in the sound of this synth. So honestly, if you play a lot of live shows and you don't want to bring all these effect pedals and things with you, the Minilogue XD is the better contender. However, if you're playing a live modular show with the emphasis on chaotic sound exploration, this is where the Moog starts to win. To decide between these 2 synthesizers is a tough decision, but here's an easier way that I thought to break this down. If you're thinking about eventually getting into Eurorack and you just want a nice place to start, I can't think of a better option than Mother-32. It has a absolutely killer synthesizer voice, and its sequencer can be used to trigger other modules around it. You can even remove Mother-32 from its housing and mount it in the skiff of your choice. Most of the modular synth designs that I come up with in Modular Grid use the Mother-32 as its starting point. So if you really want to dig into sound design and play around with chaos and happy surprises and just explore, Mother-32 is gonna win. But like I said before, if you want the one-stop shop for everything, including effects and user oscillators, then go with the Minilogue XD. The Minilogue is gonna allow you to bring a lot less stuff on stage. I absolutely love both of these synthesizers, and use them both for their various strengths. I actually played a show last weekend with both of these on stage with me. I was able to play sequences on both of them simultaneously, and it went really, really well. I'm actually playing another live show coming up pretty soon in January, so keep an eye open for details there if you want to see me live and come meet me. After I played this show, another artist went on and he had a vintage ARP 2600 that he forgot the keyboard cable for. So what we were able to do was we were able to take Mother-32, hook it up using CV to his ARP 2600, and we were able to generate sounds that way. It again just drives home what a versatile synthesis is, especially when connecting it to other instruments. Thank you so much for watching this comparison video. I hope it gives you a good place to start when choosing the right synthesizer for you. And if I forgot to mention your favorite feature of either of these synthesizers, put it down in the comments. I would love to start a conversation there. And like I said before, if you are interested in learning about the infinite versatility of the Mother-32's patch bay, check out this video here next. Once again, I'm Shines. Thank you so much for joining me here today. We'll catch you in the next one.